She begged for an expired cake for her daughter. But what the millionaire did next surprised everyone. Jennifer Coleman held her daughter's small hand tightly as she took a deep breath before pushing the glass door of the most elegant bakery in Seattle. The smell of fresh bread and decorated cakes flooded her senses, brutally contrasting with the reality of the last 3 crumpled dollars in her faded mustard coat pocket. It was Emily's birthday, her 8-year-old daughter, and the girl had come home from school with red eyes from crying so much. The other children in the class had celebrated their birthdays throughout the year with colorful cakes and sweets. But when it was Emily's turn, there was nothing to offer her classmates. The teacher had tried to comfort her by saying that the important thing was to be there, but Jennifer saw the shame in her daughter's eyes when she murmured that maybe next year she would have a little cake. "Mommy, why are we here?" "Why are we?" whispered Emily, squeezing her mother's hand even tighter as she observed the exorbitant prices displayed on the glass counter. Jennifer didn't answer immediately. Her eyes desperately scanned the shelves, looking for something, anything that could turn that day into a less painful memory for her daughter. That's when she saw the employee, a young woman in an impeccable uniform and a white cap, removing some chocolate cakes from the display and placing them on a separate tray. "Excuse me," Jennifer called, her voice coming out weaker than she intended. The employee, Rachel, turned with a professional smile that soon turned into an expression of curiosity upon seeing the out-of-place duo in the refined setting. Jennifer felt the stares of other customers, well-dressed women who stopped their conversations to observe the scene. "Can I help you?" Rachel asked, noticing the hesitation in Jennifer's voice. "I saw that you were taking some cakes out of the display. Are they going to be thrown away?" Jennifer swallowed dryly, feeling her face burn with shame. Rachel looked at the tray in her hands, then at Emily, who was hiding behind her mother's legs. Understanding came slowly, and with it an expression of compassion that Jennifer tried to interpret as pity. "It's just, today is my daughter's birthday," Jennifer continued, her voice trembling. "And I thought that maybe, if they were going to be discarded anyway." The silence that followed seemed eternal. Jennifer felt that the entire bakery had stopped to witness her humiliation. One of the customers whispered something to her friend, discreetly pointing in their direction. Another took out her phone, apparently photographing the scene. Rachel looked around, clearly uncomfortable with the attention the situation was attracting. Her supervisor, a middle-aged woman with a stern expression, watched from a distance, waiting to see how the employee would handle this awkward situation. "Look, I shouldn't do this," Rachel murmured, lowering her voice. "But there's a chocolate cake here that's at the edge of its expiration date. I can't sell it, but it hasn't been discarded yet." Emily raised her head, her eyes shining with a hope that broke Jennifer's heart. The girl didn't fully understand the situation, but she knew something special was happening. "I can pay," Jennifer said quickly, extending the crumpled dollars. "It's not much, but it's all I have right now. When I get a job, I can come back here and pay the full amount." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Rachel took the dollars without counting them, placed the chocolate cake in a simple box and handed it to Emily. The girl hugged the box as if it were the most precious treasure in the world, whispering a thank you so sincere that it brought tears to the employee's eyes. "Happy birthday, Princess," Rachel said, stroking Emily's hair. "I hope you have a very happy birthday." Jennifer tried to thank her, but the words got lost in the knot that had formed in her throat. She took her daughter's hand and walked quickly toward the exit, feeling the weight of the curious and judgmental gazes following them. It was at the door that she noticed an elegant man in a dark suit, discreetly leaning against the entrance. He was watching the whole scene with an expression impossible to decipher. When their eyes met for a brief moment, Jennifer saw something she couldn't identify. It wasn't pity nor judgment. It seemed almost recognition. Michael Bennett was 42 years old and had just witnessed a scene that instantly transported him back to his own childhood memories. The successful businessman who ran a network of businesses throughout the greater Seattle area remembered perfectly what it felt like to be hungry, ashamed, and desperate. He had entered the bakery for a casual business meeting, but now he couldn't get the image of the desperate woman, and the innocent child out of his mind. That night, Emily blew out an improvised little candle stuck in the stale cake, making a silent wish. Jennifer sang Happy Birthday with all the joy she could muster, promising herself that next year would be different. They didn't know that on the other side of town, Michael Bennett was up all night, working on his computer and making calls to people on his team. The next morning, Jennifer woke up to the insistent sound of notifications on her phone. Her neighbors had found a video on social media that showed exactly the embarrassing scene at the bakery. Someone had filmed and posted it with the caption, "Beggar pleads for leftovers at luxury bakery. What kind of desperation is this?" The video had been shared hundreds of times overnight. The comments were cruel and merciless. "So cringy," one user wrote. "People like that shouldn't even be allowed in decent places," commented another. Some people defended Jennifer, but were quickly silenced by the wave of criticism. Jennifer felt her world collapse when she recognized some familiar names among the comments. Neighbors from her building, mothers from Emily's school, people she greeted daily on the streets of the neighborhood. They all now knew about her public humiliation. Emily went to school unaware of the virtual turmoil surrounding her family. Jennifer tried to act normally, but she couldn't stop checking her phone, watching as the video gained even more views with each passing minute. The phone rang. It was from the school. "Mrs. Jennifer?" The secretary's voice sounded formal and distant. "We need to speak with you urgently. Can you come here?" Jennifer's heart raced. She put on the same mustard-colored coat, now carrying an additional layer of humiliation, and ran to the school. On the way, she noticed the different looks from people on the street, some whispers, some muffled laughter, some pitying glances that hurt even more than the scorn. At the school, Principal Margaret Patterson was waiting for her with a worried expression. "Jennifer, are you okay? I saw what happened on social media," Margaret said, gesturing for her to sit down. "Is Emily okay?" was Jennifer's first concern. "For now, yes. The children haven't seen the video yet, but some parents have already commented. I'm worried about what this could cause for her." Margaret spoke carefully. "Do you have any support network? Family who can help at this time?" Jennifer shook her head no. Since she had left her parents' home at 16, pregnant and without support, she had built her life alone. Emily's father had disappeared even before the girl was born, and her family had completely rejected her. "I'm going to look for a job today," Jennifer said, more to herself than to the principal. "I'm leaving here and won't stop until I find something." Margaret gently touched her arm. "Jennifer, maybe it's better for you to let this die down a bit. With the exposure you've had, it might be hard to get anything now. People have short memories for these things." But Jennifer couldn't accept the idea of staying still. She left the school determined to find any work that could get them out of that situation. She visited stores, restaurants, offices, anywhere that might need an employee. The first attempt was at a nearby supermarket. The manager initially received her kindly, but when she said her name, he paused, picked up his phone, and clearly searched for something. His expression completely changed. "Unfortunately, we don't have any openings at the moment," he said coldly. "But the sign on the door says you're hiring cashiers," Jennifer insisted. "Yeah, that sign is outdated. Thank you for stopping by." The same scene repeated at 5 different places. It was as if an invisible mark followed her, immediately identifying her as the woman from the viral video. At one of the establishments, she heard an employee whisper to her colleague, "It's her, the woman who went begging at the bakery." She returned home exhausted and defeated. Emily was waiting for her with a drawing she had made at school, 2 figures holding hands with a big heart between them, and the words, "Thank you for the cake, Mommy," written in careful handwriting. Jennifer locked herself in the bathroom and cried for 20 minutes, trying to muffle the sound so her daughter wouldn't hear. When she came out, Emily was watching cartoons, completely unaware of the storm brewing in their lives. That afternoon, while Jennifer was trying to figure out how to pay the next month's rent, Rachel was being called to an urgent meeting at the bakery. "You were reckless yesterday," said the supervisor, Gloria Harrison, in a harsh tone. "You know very well we have clear policies about disposing of products." "But Mrs. Gloria, the cake really was going to be thrown away," Rachel tried to defend herself. "It's not about that, it's about image. Did you see what happened? We've become a laughingstock on social media." "The bakery that accepts handouts," they're saying. "Some customers have already cancelled orders because they don't want to be associated with an establishment that attracts beggars." Rachel felt her stomach sink. She had worked there for 3 years, was punctual, responsible, and had never caused any problems. "I was just trying to help a child," she murmured. "And you ended up hurting the whole team. I'm letting you go today. You can get your things." Rachel left the bakery carrying a box with her personal belongings, feeling a mix of anger and injustice she had never experienced before. On the bus home, she couldn't stop thinking about Emily, about the girl's innocent joy upon receiving that simple cake. Meanwhile, at the bakery, the effects of the viral video continued to spread. Customers who had frequented the establishment for years arrived with a different expression, whispering among themselves and casting suspicious glances at the employees. "Do you usually give food to anyone who comes asking?" asked a regular customer, Mrs. Beatrice, an upper-class lady who placed weekly orders. "It was a misunderstanding, Mrs. Beatrice," another employee tried to explain. "We've already taken the necessary measures." "I hope so. I can't recommend a place like that to my friends," she replied, cancelling her usual order. The chain reaction was devastating. In 3 days, the bakery had lost 40% of its regular orders. The owner, a 60-year-old man who had built the business over decades, saw his reputation crumble because of a simple act of kindness. "We need to do something," he said to Gloria. "Maybe a social media campaign showing our real target audience." "I'm already organizing that," Gloria replied. "We'll have an exclusive event for VIP clients, show that we maintain our standards." But little did they know that Michael Bennett was watching their every move with growing interest. The businessman had spent the last few days discreetly investigating the situation, asking questions, understanding the consequences of that moment he had witnessed. On Saturday morning, Jennifer received a call from an unknown number. "Hello? Mrs. Jennifer Coleman?" The male voice sounded professional but kind. "Yes. Who is this?" "My name is David. I'm from Bennett General Services. We're offering a job opportunity that might interest you." Jennifer sat up abruptly. It had been a week since she'd even been granted an interview. "What kind of job?" she asked, trying to control the hope in her voice. "Cleaning and organizing services. Flexible hours, market rate salary. Could you come for a talk on Monday?" "Of course. Where is it?" "I'll send the address by text. See you on Monday, Mrs. Jennifer." She hung up the phone, trembling with emotion. Emily, who was playing on the living room floor, noticed the change in her mother's mood. "Mommy, are you happy?" the little girl asked. "I think so, my love. I think things are going to get better." That night, for the first time in a week, Jennifer managed to sleep a few hours straight. She didn't know that across town, Michael Bennett was finalizing the details of a plan he had been developing since the moment he saw that scene at the bakery. On Monday, Jennifer dressed in the best outfit she had, a pair of black jeans and a blue button-down shirt that she had received from a former employer. She dropped Emily off at school and took 2 buses to get to the indicated address. The commercial building was modest but well kept in downtown Seattle. On the 10th floor, she found a small reception area with the name Bennett General Services discreetly engraved on the glass door. David, a middle-aged man with a trustworthy appearance, greeted her with a warm smile. "Mrs. Jennifer, nice to meet you. How was your trip here?" "Smooth, thank you. About the position." "Yes, let's talk about that. Initially, we need someone for cleaning and organizing services at a few commercial establishments. The hours would be from 9 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, so you can pick up your daughter from school. Salary of 1,200 Rs, plus transportation allowance." Jennifer could hardly believe what she was hearing. It was more than she had ever earned in any previous job. "I accept," she said immediately. David laughed gently. "Don't you even want to know where you'll be working? Honestly, after this week, anywhere will do." "I understand. Well, the first location would be the Golden Star Bakery in the upscale area. Do you know it?" Jennifer's blood ran cold. Is that the bakery where—" "Yes," David confirmed delicately. The owner decided to make some changes in management. The former supervisor was transferred to another unit. and they want to start fresh with a new team. But what if the customers recognize me? What if it causes more problems? Are you worried about that? David asked, observing her carefully. I am. I don't want to hurt anyone again. Do you think you hurt someone? Jennifer hesitated. Throughout that week, she had blamed herself for the bakery's problems, for Rachel's dismissal, for the embarrassment her presence had caused. I shouldn't have gone there. It was selfish of me to expose my daughter to that situation. David leaned forward. Mrs. Jennifer, may I ask you a personal question? Why did you choose that bakery specifically? It was the only one I saw throwing cakes away. I've been through others before, but they weren't discarding anything. So you weren't there to cause trouble or draw attention? Of course not. I just wanted my daughter to have a birthday cake. David nodded thoughtfully. So you were a mother trying to make your daughter happy on her birthday? Yes, Jennifer whispered, remembering Emily hugging that cake as if it were a treasure. And is that something to be ashamed of? For the first time in a week, Jennifer looked at the situation from a different perspective. She hadn't stolen, lied, or intentionally harmed anyone. She had only asked for something that would have been thrown away anyway to make her daughter smile. The new owner of the bakery believes what happened was a misunderstanding that got out of proportion. David continued. He would like to offer a second chance to both you and Rachel, the employee who was fired. Rachel was fired because of me. Jennifer felt a heavy weight in her chest. Not because of you, because of the wrong decisions other people made in response to what happened. There's a difference in that. Jennifer fell silent, processing everything she was hearing. Are you willing to accept this job? David asked. And Rachel, will she want to work in the same place as me? Why don't you ask her yourself? David pressed a button on the intercom. Moments later, the door opened and Rachel entered, carrying coffee and some papers. When she saw Jennifer, she stopped immediately. Hi, said Rachel, clearly surprised but not hostile. Hi, Jennifer replied, feeling embarrassed. I heard you were fired. I'm sorry. It wasn't your fault, Rachel said, sitting in the chair next to Jennifer. It was the fault of people who don't understand that helping a child is more important than protecting a brand's image. But I shouldn't have put you in that position. You didn't put me in any position. I chose to help you because it was the right thing to do. David watched the conversation between the two women with a discreet smile. So, what do you think about working together to give that place a new look? Rachel looked at Jennifer. I'm in. How about you? Jennifer took a deep breath. I accept. Perfect. You start tomorrow. Rachel will train you in the procedures, and together you'll help reorganize the bakery's operations. As they left the building, the two women walked together to the bus stop. Rachel, why did you help me that day? Jennifer asked. Because I've been in your place, Rachel replied simply. When my daughter was born, I was alone too. I went through difficult situations that I'll never forget. When I saw you there, I remembered how important it is for someone to lend a hand. You have a daughter? I do. She's 15 now, but there was a time when I had to beg for food for her too. The difference is that no one filmed it. Jennifer felt an instant connection with Rachel. They weren't just two women who had met by chance. They were two mothers who understood the pain and desperation of seeing their children in need. How did you get through it? Asked Jennifer. One day at a time, and with a lot of help from good people along the way. Now it's my turn to be that good person for someone. That night, Jennifer told Emily about the new job without mentioning where it would be. Mommy is going to work at a very nice bakery, she said. And you know what that means. What? Emily asked, excited. That sometimes I can bring fresh bread home. Emily clapped her hands with joy. And cakes too. Jennifer laughed, feeling a lightness she hadn't experienced in weeks. Maybe, but only when it's allowed, okay? Okay, Mommy. I love you. I love you too, my love. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The next morning, Jennifer woke up before her alarm. She put on the uniform that David had arranged, a dark blue t-shirt with the cleaning company's logo, and looked at herself in the mirror. For the first time in a long while, she saw hope reflected in her own eyes. She arrived at the bakery at 8 in the morning, an hour before opening time to the public. Rachel was waiting for her at the back door, key in hand and an encouraging smile on her face. "Ready to start over?" Rachel asked. "More than ready," Jennifer replied. They entered the establishment together. The bakery was empty and quiet, but the aroma of fresh bread coming from the already running oven created a welcoming atmosphere. It felt like entering a completely different place from where Jennifer had experienced her humiliation. "First, I'll show you how everything works," said Rachel, guiding Jennifer through the different areas. "This is where the ovens are. Here's the storage. Over there is where we prepare the display cases, and this is the service area." Jennifer observed everything carefully, but couldn't help glancing at the exact spot where she had asked for the expired cake. Rachel noticed her tension. "You know what I think," Rachel said, stopping right at that very spot. "I think this little corner witnessed one of the most beautiful moments I've ever seen. A mother willing to face any humiliation to make her daughter smile." "I didn't feel beautiful in that moment," Jennifer murmured, "because you were seeing it through the eyes of someone who was suffering. But I was seeing it through the eyes of someone who's been through that. And it was beautiful, Jennifer. It was the purest love there is." At that moment, the front door opened and a man entered. Jennifer recognized him immediately. It was the elegant man in a suit who had observed the entire scene the previous week. Michael Bennett walked over to them with a calm smile. "Good morning. You must be Jennifer and Rachel, correct?" "Good morning," they replied, almost in unison. "I'm Michael Bennett, the new owner of this bakery," he introduced himself. Jennifer felt the air leave her lungs. The man who had witnessed her humiliation was the same one who had now offered her a job. The feeling of embarrassment returned with full force. You were here that day," she managed to say. "I was," Michael confirmed. "And that's why I decided to buy this establishment." Rachel looked surprised between Jennifer and Michael. "What do you mean?" "That moment made me realize some important things," Michael explained. "First, that this place needed a change in direction. Second, that you two deserve to work in an environment that values compassion instead of punishing it." "You bought an entire bakery because of us?" Jennifer asked, still trying to process the information. "I bought it because of what I learned watching you, that a business isn't just about profit, but about the impact we make on people's lives." Michael walked over to the counter where everything had happened. "This place will continue to be a bakery, but it will also be a support center for the community. We'll have a food donation program, partnerships with local schools to provide snacks for underprivileged children, and a space for community meetings." Jennifer and Rachel exchanged looks, still trying to believe what they were hearing. "And us? What will our roles be in all this?" Rachel asked. "Rachel, I'd like you to take on the general manager position. You've demonstrated having the values we want for this place. And Jennifer, in addition to cleaning services, I'd like you to help me coordinate the social programs. Who better to understand the needs of the community than someone who's been through them?" Jennifer felt tears forming in her eyes. "But I have no experience in coordination." "You have something much more valuable, life experience, and a willingness to learn. We'll start slow and you'll learn as we go." At that moment, the other bakery employees arrived. Michael gathered everyone to explain the changes that would be implemented. Some employees who had worked there during the previous management showed initial resistance to the new policies. "But what if more people come asking for food?" asked John, one of the oldest bakers. "Then we'll have the opportunity to help more people," Michael replied, "and we'll do it in an organized and dignified way." Throughout that first morning, Jennifer worked side by side with Rachel, learning not just about cleaning and organization, but about the entire operation of the bakery. When lunchtime came, Michael invited them for a private conversation in his temporary office at the back of the establishment. "I have a confession to make," he said, sitting across from them. "It wasn't just coincidence that I was here that day." Jennifer and Rachel waited in silence. "I grew up in this area. I went to the public school nearby, the same school your daughter attends, Jennifer. I spent my entire childhood in these neighborhoods." "But you don't seem—" Jennifer started and stopped, realizing she was about to say something offensive. "Poor?" Michael completed with a smile, free of resentment. I don't seem it because I'm not anymore, but for a long time I was, and I know exactly what it feels like to be in the place where you were. He stood up and went to the window, watching the activity on the street. When I was 8 years old, about your daughter's age, my mother went through a very similar situation. It was my birthday and she had no money for anything. She tried asking for help in several places, but she was always humiliated. Michael paused, clearly emotional from the memory. One day she went into a small store desperate and begged the owner to let her take an expired cake. The man not only refused but humiliated her in front of all the customers. She left there crying, and I swore to myself that when I grew up, I would never let that happen to any child. So that's why you were at the bakery that day? Asked Rachel. Not exactly. I was here for a business meeting with the former owner. But when I saw the scene with you two, it was like I was reliving that moment from my childhood. The difference is that this time I had the power to do something. Jennifer felt as if the pieces of a puzzle were falling into place. So all this, the job, the purchase of the bakery, it was my way of honoring my mother's memory and perhaps helping prevent other children from going through what I went through. That afternoon when Jennifer went to pick up Emily from school, she felt like a different person. Not just because of the job, but because of the feeling that her life was taking on a purposeful direction. How was your first day, Mom? Emily asked, holding her hand as they walked home. It was surprising, my love. Very surprising. Did you like the bakery? Jennifer stopped walking for a moment, looking at her daughter. You know, Emily, sometimes the bad things that happen to us turn into good things. That day we went to the bakery. The day of my cake? Emily interrupted with a smile. That's right. That day that seemed so bad ended up turning into something good. How so? You'll see. But for now, how about we stop by the new bakery where Mom works? I'm sure they have something tasty we can buy. For real this time. Emily clapped her hands excitedly, and together they walked back to the Golden Star Bakery. This time Jennifer walked through the front door with her head held high, not as someone asking for favors, but as someone who belonged there. Michael was at the counter, helping with the afternoon service. When he saw Jennifer and Emily come in, his face lit up. Hello, Emily, he said, addressing the girl. You must be the most special birthday girl this place has ever welcomed. Emily became shy but smiled. How did you know it was my birthday? Because your mum told me. And you know what? I've been saving a special cake just for you. Michael went to the display case and took out a small decorated chocolate cake. Much prettier than that first expired one. This one is to celebrate your mom's first day of work. What do you think? Emily looked at Jennifer, who nodded with tears of gratitude in her eyes. Thank you, sir. Emily hesitated. Michael, you can call me Uncle Michael. Thank you, Uncle Michael. That evening, as Emily enjoyed her second birthday cake, this one much sweeter than the first, but no more special, Jennifer reflected on the twists and turns her life had taken in just 1 week. The phone rang. It was Rachel. Jennifer, are you checking social media? No, why? Jennifer felt a chill in her stomach, fearing that new embarrassing videos had surfaced. Someone posted a new video, but this one is different. Jennifer turned on the computer borrowed from a neighbor and went online. The video Rachel mentioned showed the Golden Star Bakery that afternoon, with a completely different caption. Bakery hires mother who went viral asking for help. Example of how to turn criticism into opportunities. The video showed Jennifer working, Michael explaining the bakery's new policies, and ended with the scene of Emily receiving the special cake. The comments were mostly positive. So beautiful to see people who help instead of judge, wrote one user. This business owner truly deserves our respect, commented another. The girl deserved this happy ending, added a third person. Who made this video? Jennifer asked Rachel over the phone. It was Michael. He said if the first story told about us was one of humiliation, the second should be one of dignity. Jennifer hung up the phone and looked at Emily, who was finishing her cake while drawing on a piece of paper. What are you drawing, sweetie? The new bakery, Emily replied. Look, this is you, this is me, this is Aunt Rachel, and this is Uncle Michael. In the drawing, 4 figures were smiling, holding hands in front of a colorful bakery. Above their heads, Emily had drawn a rainbow. "Why did you draw a rainbow?" Jennifer asked. "Because after the rain there's always a rainbow, and the lady at school said our life had rain, but now it has a rainbow." Jennifer hugged her daughter, realizing that even an 8-year-old could understand the beauty of the transformation they had experienced. That night, for the first time in a long while, both Jennifer and Emily slept soundly, dreaming of possibilities that a week earlier had seemed impossible. In the following weeks, the routine at the Golden Star Bakery settled in a very different way than before. Jennifer arrived early, not just for cleaning, but to participate in planning community activities. Rachel took over management with a much more human approach, creating an environment where employees felt valued and respected. Michael, who initially intended to be just a distant owner, ended up getting directly involved in daily operations. He discovered he had a natural talent for baking and spent hours learning from the more experienced bakers. "I never thought I'd enjoy working with my hands so much," he said to Jennifer during a quiet afternoon. "I always thought running a business was just sitting behind a desk signing papers." "Isn't it?" Jennifer asked, while organizing the ingredients for the next day's production. "I discovered that running a business is about people. The papers are just a consequence." The first social initiative implemented was the School Lunch Project, where the bakery provided sandwiches and milk for children from vulnerable families. Jennifer was crucial in identifying these families, as she was familiar with the neighborhood's reality. "How do you know Mary Elizabeth's family needs help?" Michael asked when Jennifer suggested including a new child in the project. "Because I see her mother every day at the market, counting coins before picking anything up. It's the same look I had a few weeks ago." The partnership with Emily's school strengthened when Principal Margaret proposed that the bakery become a support point for parent meetings. The space was reorganized to accommodate these meetings, always accompanied by coffee and fresh bread donated by the house. During one of these meetings, Jennifer met other single mothers facing difficulties similar to what she had gone through. Gradually, she began to become a kind of informal mentor, guiding these women about job opportunities and resources available in the community. "You have a knack for this," Margaret observed after a particularly productive meeting. "Have you ever thought about studying social work?" "Me?" Jennifer laughed. "I barely finished high school. So what? It's never too late to learn. I'm sure we could get you a scholarship." The idea was planted in Jennifer's mind. During work breaks, she started researching social work and psychology courses. Michael, noticing her interest, offered full support. "If you want to study, we can adjust your schedule here, and the company can cover the studies as an investment in our team." "Why would you do that for me?" Jennifer asked, still wary of so much generosity. "Because you're becoming the heart of this project, and hearts need knowledge to beat as efficiently as possible." 3 months after Jennifer's first visit to the bakery, the place had completely transformed. It was no longer just a commercial establishment, but a true community center. In the morning, it operated as a traditional bakery. In the afternoon, it hosted children's study groups, and in the evening, it offered free vocational courses for adults. Rachel coordinated the commercial part masterfully, proving that kindness and efficiency could go hand in hand. The employees worked motivated, knowing they were part of something bigger than just selling bread and cakes. Emily adapted perfectly to the new routine. After school, she went straight to the bakery where she did her homework at a special table Michael had prepared for her. There, she interacted with other children whose mothers participated in the social programs, creating a tight-knit group of friends. "Mom, can I have my birthday party here next year?" Emily asked one day, while helping to arrange chairs after a meeting. "You want to have your party at a bakery?" Jennifer laughed. "Not just any bakery, here where everything started to get good for us." Emily's answer deeply touched Jennifer. The girl had turned the place of her greatest humiliation into a place of happy memories. It was during one of these afternoons that an unexpected event brought a new twist to all their stories. Jennifer was organizing clothing donations when an elegant woman in her 60s entered the bakery. She looked around with an expression of curiosity and surprise. "Excuse me," the lady addressed Jennifer. "Is this the Golden Star Bakery?" "Yes, ma'am. Can I help you?" "I'm Helen Bennett. I'm looking for my son, Michael." Jennifer Coleman felt a knot in her stomach. Throughout all those months of working together, Michael had never mentioned family. Whenever someone asked about his personal life, he would change the subject or give vague answers. He's in the office. Would you like me to get him? Please. Jennifer went to the back to call Michael, who became visibly upset upon learning his mother was there. What does she want? He murmured, more to himself than to Jennifer. I don't know. She just said she was looking for you. Michael took a deep breath and went out to meet Helen. The conversation between mother and son happened in hushed tones, but the tension in the air was palpable. Rachel, Emily, and the other employees discreetly slowed their work to avoid interrupting the moment. I heard about what you're doing here, Helen said, looking around with an expression that mixed surprise and what might have been pride. I read about it in the papers. And you came to criticize me? Michael asked, keeping a noticeable physical distance from his mother. I came to understand. Michael, we need to talk. There are things you don't know that I never had the courage to tell you. There's nothing to talk about, Mom. You made that clear a long time ago. Jennifer realized she was witnessing something very intimate and tried to discreetly step away, but Michael called her. Jennifer, please stay. This is the lady who coordinates our social programs. Helen looked at Jennifer with renewed interest. You're the mother of the girl in the video, aren't you? Jennifer nodded, preparing for another awkward situation, but Helen's reaction was unexpected. Thank you, she said simply. What? Thank you. If it weren't for you and your daughter, my son would never have found his true path. The conversation that followed between Michael and Helen revealed a family history no one expected. Helen had abandoned Michael when he was 12, leaving him in the care of an aunt, to marry a wealthy man who didn't accept children from previous relationships. I thought I was giving you a better life, Helen explained with tears in her eyes. Aunt Caroline had the means to give you an education, opportunities I couldn't offer. You abandoned me, Michael said without bitterness, but with deep pain in his voice. You chose money over staying with me. I chose wrong, and I've paid for it all these years. Helen shared that her marriage ended in divorce 5 years later, when she discovered her husband's infidelities. She was left with nothing, having given up her own career to dedicate herself to the relationship. She spent years trying to rebuild her life, but never had the courage to reach out to Michael. I followed your life from afar, she admitted. I knew about your business successes, but I also saw that you were alone, without family, without real connections to anyone. And that bothered you? Michael asked. It broke my heart, because I knew it was me who taught you that people abandon you, that you can't trust anyone. Jennifer watched the conversation with a heavy heart, recognizing in Michael's story some of her own wounds. The difference was that she had found strength in her love for Emily, while Michael had completely isolated himself. Why did you come here today? Michael asked. Because when I read about this project, about how you were helping families, about how a situation of humiliation turned into something beautiful, I realized you had become the person I should have been. Helen turned to Jennifer. Do you have any idea what you've done for him? Michael always had money to help people, but he never had the courage to truly connect with anyone. You showed him that it's possible to trust, that it's possible to be vulnerable without being destroyed. I didn't do anything special, Jennifer murmured, embarrassed by the intensity of the conversation. Yes, you did. You showed him that asking for help isn't shameful, it's courage, and that helping isn't superiority, it's humanity. At that moment, Emily came running from school. When she saw the serious scene among the adults, she stopped hesitantly. Hi, Uncle Michael. Is everything okay? Michael knelt down to Emily's level. Yes, everything's fine. Emily, this is my mother, Helen. Emily greeted Helen with the natural ease of children, but then whispered in Michael's ear, Your mommy is pretty like mine too. The innocence of the comment broke the tension of the moment. Helen laughed genuinely for the first time in a long while. Can I get to know this place better? She asked. I'd like to understand what you're building here. During the next hour, Michael, Jennifer, and Rachel showed Helen all the ongoing projects. She observed everything with special attention, asking detailed questions about how each program worked. Do you have a background in social management? Helen asked Jennifer. No, I'm just starting to study now. Why? Because you have a natural talent for it. The way you talk about the families, how you know their needs, that's rare. In the late afternoon, Helen said goodbye with an unexpected proposal. Michael, I'd like to help financially with this project, not as a way to buy forgiveness, but as a way to do something useful with the money I wasted for so many years. Mom, let me finish. I have resources, management experience, and free time. If you allow me, I'd like to volunteer to help expand this work to other communities. Michael looked at Jennifer and Rachel, clearly torn between the desire to accept the help and the fear of being disappointed again. What do you think? He asked. I think your mother is offering a second chance for both of you, Jennifer answered. And second chances are too precious to be wasted, Rachel agreed. Besides, with more resources and experience, we could help many more families. Michael looked at Helen, who awaited his response with evident anxiety. Okay, but on one condition. This has to be real. It can't be just guilt or an attempt to make up for things. It has to be a real commitment. It's a real commitment, Helen assured. I wasted 20 years of my life and yours. I don't want to waste another day. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. From that day on, Helen became a constant presence at the bakery. She arrived every morning, even before Jennifer, with energy and determination that impressed everyone. Her administrative experience brought even greater organization to the projects, but without losing the human character that Jennifer had imprinted on them. Jennifer, have you thought about how we're going to track the development of the children in the school lunch project? Helen asked during one of their planning meetings. What do you mean? We need to check if the meals are really impacting their school performance. Maybe we can create partnerships with teachers to monitor this. Helen's suggestion made sense, and Jennifer realized she was learning a lot about how to turn goodwill into effective results. Helen didn't try to take control of the projects, but offered tools so Jennifer could develop them better. The relationship between Michael and Helen evolved gradually. At first there was a tense formality between them, but as they spent more time working together, they began to develop a new way of relating, based on the present and not just the painful past. You know I'm really sorry, don't you? Helen said to Michael during a break. I know. But knowing you're sorry doesn't erase what I've felt all these years. And it shouldn't erase it. I don't expect you to forget or forgive quickly. I just hope you'll let me try to be a better mother from now on. I'm trying, Mom, but it's hard. I know it is, and I won't give up. Jennifer watched these interactions with special interest, recognizing in Helen some of her own insecurities as a mother. The difference was that Helen had made the mistake of abandoning her son, while Jennifer had always fought to never abandon Emily. Do you think I can be a good mother even though I've failed so much? Helen asked Jennifer during a private conversation. I think you can be a good mother from now on. The past doesn't change, but the future can still be built. What if it's too late? Helen, look around. If it weren't for you, Michael would probably have remained a successful but lonely person. Your past wrong choices somehow helped shape the person he is today. And that person is changing the lives of dozens of families. Are you saying my mistakes had something good about them? I'm saying mistakes can be turned into lessons. Michael learned to value family because he missed having one. He learned not to abandon people because he was abandoned. In a way, his wounds became his strength. Helen became thoughtful. You're very wise for someone so young. I'm not wise. I just learned that life is too complex for simple judgments. During the following months, the Golden Star Bakery became a model social business. Journalists visited the place regularly, college students did projects about the initiative, and other companies sought out Michael to understand how to replicate it. Jennifer enrolled in the social work course, getting a full scholarship through a partnership that Helen had arranged with a local university. She studied at night and applied what she learned directly to the bakery's projects during the day. How is it going, balancing work and studies? Michael asked one afternoon when Jennifer seemed particularly tired. Hard, but rewarding. Everything I learn in college I can apply here, and every situation I experience here helps me understand the subjects better. Have you thought about what you want to do when you graduate? I have some ideas. I'd like to keep working with families in vulnerable situations. Maybe create an NGO focused specifically on single mothers. That would be an excellent idea, and you can count on us to support that. Emily, now 9 years old, had visibly grown during that period, not just physically, but emotionally. The girl who once cried for not having a birthday cake to share with her classmates now organized toy drives for less privileged children. "Mommy, can we have a collective birthday party for the children in the project?" Emily suggested as her 10th birthday approached. "What do you mean, honey?" "Instead of just having my party, we could have a big party for all the children who have birthdays in the same month as me. That way, no one goes without a party." Emily's idea was enthusiastically implemented by the whole team. The first collective party brought together 8 children and their families, turning the bakery into a real party venue. Helen coordinated the decorations, Rachel organized the sweets, Michael dressed up as a clown, and Jennifer coordinated the games. "Did you see the faces of these children's mothers?" Rachel commented to Jennifer during the party. "Some are crying with emotion." "I know, because they know what it's like not to be able to throw a party for their children. And you know what it means to have someone who cares enough to do this for them." The party was such a success that it became a monthly tradition. Families from across the region began frequenting the bakery, not just for the services, but for the sense of belonging to a community that genuinely cared for one another. It was during one of these parties that Jennifer met Beatrice, a 70-year-old woman who would become a pivotal presence in their lives. Beatrice arrived at the party with her 6-year-old granddaughter, Olivia. The girl had been included in the school snack program after her grandmother approached them, explaining that the child's parents had died in an accident and she was raising her granddaughter alone on a small pension. "May I speak with you?" Beatrice approached Jennifer during a quiet moment at the party. "Of course, how can I help you?" "Actually, I'd like to help you. I'm retired, I have free time, and I love children. I'd like to volunteer to look after the children while the mothers attend the vocational courses." Beatrice's proposal came at a perfect time. Many mothers struggled to participate in the courses because they had no one to leave their children with. The supervised kids area run by Beatrice solved this problem in a caring and efficient way. "Beatrice, may I ask why you want to do this?" Jennifer questioned after the volunteer had settled into the routine. "Because when I was young and had to work to support my children, no one offered me help. I had to let opportunities pass because I had no one to leave the kids with. If I can prevent other mothers from going through that, why wouldn't I?" Beatrice's integration into the group brought a new generational perspective to the project. She had the patience and experience that perfectly complemented the energy and determination of the younger women. During a particularly busy afternoon, when the bakery was simultaneously hosting a group of journalists, a class of university students, and the children from the tutoring project, Jennifer realized how completely her life had transformed. 1 year earlier, she was a desperate woman begging for an expired cake. Now she was coordinating a social project impacting dozens of families, studying to graduate in a profession she loved, and surrounded by people who had become her chosen family. "What are you thinking about?" Michael asked, noticing her observing everything with a contemplative smile. "I'm thinking about how life can change completely without us even realizing it. One day you think everything is lost, and the next day you discover that was just the beginning of something much bigger." "Are you referring to that day at the bakery?" "I'm referring to this entire journey. That day was awful, but it was necessary. If it hadn't happened, none of this would exist." Michael nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes I wonder if you really asked for a cake, or if you asked for a new life. Maybe I asked for both. Or maybe the universe decided I deserved more than what I was asking for." At that moment, Emily came running up, followed by Olivia and other children from the project. "Mommy, look what we made." She showed a colorful poster with drawings from all the children. In the center, it read, "Thank you, Friendship Bakery." "Friendship Bakery?" Jennifer asked, laughing. "That's what we call it here," explained Olivia. "Because here everyone is friends with everyone." And because this is where our friendship started, added Emily, pointing to Michael, Helen, Rachel, and Beatrice, who were approaching to see the poster. Jennifer looked around at all those people who had become her family. Michael, who had learned to trust again through her vulnerability. Helen, who had found a way to rebuild her relationship with her son. Rachel, who had discovered her calling for community leadership. Beatrice, who had transformed her loneliness into service to others. And Emily, who was growing up in an environment rich in love and solidarity. "You know we're building something very special here, right?" said Jennifer. "We're building a family," replied Helen. "We're building a community," added Rachel. "We're building hope," completed Michael. "We're building love," concluded Emily, with the profound simplicity that only children can express. That night, after everyone had left and the bakery fell silent, Jennifer stayed alone in the place for a few minutes. She walked over to the counter where it had all begun and touched the display case glass. "Thank you," she whispered, not knowing exactly who she was thanking, but feeling a deep gratitude for the entire journey. Her phone vibrated. It was a message from a mother who attended the vocational courses. "Jennifer, I got the job. Thank you for believing in me when I didn't even believe in myself." Jennifer smiled, put her phone away and left the bakery, knowing that the next day she would return to continue building dreams, one cake, one snack, one conversation, one hug at a time. Life had taught her that sometimes we need to humble ourselves to discover our true dignity, that sometimes we need to ask for help to learn how to help others, and that sometimes the worst situations are just disguises for the best opportunities. Emily was right. After the rain, the rainbow always comes, and the rainbow of their lives was just beginning to show all its colors. 2 years after that first embarrassing day at the bakery, Jennifer was graduating in social work. The graduation ceremony took place on a Saturday afternoon, and all her chosen family was present. Michael, Helen, Rachel, Beatrice, Emily, and many families who had been impacted by the bakery project. During her speech as class speaker, Jennifer told the story of how she had gotten there. 2.5 years ago, I walked into a bakery to ask for an expired cake for my daughter. I thought that was the lowest point of my life. Today, I know it was the moment my true life began. She paused, observing the emotional faces in the audience. I learned that humiliation and humility are different things. Humiliation is what others try to do to us. Humility is what we choose to be. I learned that asking for help isn't weakness, it's courage. And I learned that our worst moments can turn into our greatest gifts if we're willing to grow through them. When she stepped off the stage with her diploma in hand, Emily was the first to hug her. "Mommy, now you're going to help even more mums like you, right?" "Yes, my love, I'll help as many mums as I can." "And will they help other mums too?" "I hope so." "Then that cake we asked for is going to help lots and lots of people." Jennifer laughed, realizing her daughter had perfectly understood the multiplier effect of what they had built together. At the graduation party, organized at the Golden Star Bakery itself, which had now officially become a registered community center, Jennifer announced her future plans. "With all of your support, I'm going to open an NGO focused on supporting single mothers in vulnerable situations. It will be called the Emily Institute, in honor of the girl who taught me that every difficulty can turn into an opportunity for growth." The audience applauded enthusiastically. Michael stood up to speak. "Jennifer, Helen, and I would like to be the first sponsors of the Emily Institute. We believe in your work and want to support this expansion." "And I'd like to be the first volunteer," added Rachel. "I learned a lot about management here, and I want to use this knowledge to help the NGO. And I want to take care of the children while the mums take the courses," said Beatrice, eliciting affectionate laughter from everyone. That night, while helping clean up the bakery after the party, Helen approached Jennifer. "Can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course." "Would you forgive a mother who abandoned you as a child?" Jennifer thought carefully before answering. "Helen, I grew up without a father and with a family that rejected me when I got pregnant young. For a long time, I carried anger and resentment, but I learned that holding on to that anger only hurt me more. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying the pain forever. And if that mother tried to reach out now, after you're grown up, I'd give it a chance, not to rebuild the past, but to build something new. Maybe it wouldn't be possible to get back the mother I lost in childhood, but maybe it would be possible to gain a friend for adulthood. Helen smiled with tears in her eyes. Michael is lucky to have you in his life. You taught him things I never could. And you're teaching him things now. It's never too late to be the mother you want to be. 6 months later, the Emily Institute opened its doors in a building near the bakery. The pilot project served 20 families, offering everything from psychological support to professional training and legal assistance for single mothers. Jennifer developed her own methodology, based on her personal experience combined with academic knowledge. The Institute's unique feature was that all the mothers who received help were later invited to become volunteers, creating a network of mutual support. The idea is that no one is just a beneficiary, Jennifer explained to visitors. Everyone is the protagonist of their own transformation and co-responsible for the transformation of other women. The first case handled by the Institute was a 17-year-old girl, pregnant and thrown out of her home by her parents. Jennifer accompanied her throughout the pregnancy, helped her find housing, finish her studies, and prepare for motherhood. "How do you manage to do this?" the young woman asked during one of the consultations. "How do you manage to believe it will work out when everything seems lost?" "Because I've been exactly where you are," Jennifer replied. "And if it worked out for me, it can work out for you too. The difference is that you won't have to go through it alone." The Institute quickly gained recognition in the region. Local public policies began referencing the work done there, and other cities sent delegations to learn about the methodology. Emily, now 12 years old, visited the Institute after school, helping with the younger children and closely observing her mother's work. In a school essay about my greatest hero, she wrote, "My mother is my greatest hero because she turned the saddest day of our life into the beginning of happy days for many families. She taught me that when someone is mean to us, we can choose to be good to other people, and that when life is hard, we can work to make it easier for others." Emily's essay was selected for a citywide contest and won first place. At the awards ceremony, she dedicated the prize to my mother, who taught me that real heroes are ordinary people who do extraordinary things out of love. That same year, the Golden Star Bakery completed 5 years under Michael's management. The place had become a national model for social entrepreneurship, receiving visits from business people, students and politicians interested in replicating the experience. During the bakery's anniversary celebration, Michael gave an emotional speech. "When I bought this place, I thought I was making a real estate investment. I discovered that I was investing in people, and I discovered that investing in people is the most profitable business there is, not in financial terms, but in terms of human fulfillment." He paused, looking at Jennifer, Emily, Helen, Rachel, and Beatrice. "This bakery taught me that success isn't about how much money you have, but about how many lives you can positively touch. And it taught me that family isn't just those who share your blood, but those who share your dreams." Helen approached her son, and for the first time in years, they hugged publicly, without embarrassment or hesitation. "Thank you for giving me a second chance to be your mother," she whispered. "Thank you for teaching me that second chances really do exist," he replied. At that same party, Rachel announced that she had been accepted into a non-profit management course and planned to start her own organization focused on financial education for low-income women. "I learned here that each of us has the potential to be a leader in our own field," she said. "Now I want to use what I've learned to teach other women how to achieve financial independence." Beatrice, at 72 years old, revealed that she had decided to write a book about her experience as a volunteer. "I want to show other people my age that retirement isn't synonymous with uselessness. We have a lot of knowledge and love to offer. We just need to find where to apply it." When the party ended and everyone had left, Jennifer, Michael, and Emily were alone in the bakery, as had happened so many times over the years. "Do you know what the most amazing part of this whole story is?" Jennifer asked. "What?" Emily inquired, curious. "It's that none of this was planned. It wasn't a business project or a life plan. It was just a mother trying to get a cake for her daughter, a man remembering his own childhood, and an employee deciding to be kind. And from 3 small gestures, all of this was born. Michael nodded. It's as if the universe conspired to put us in the right place, at the right time, with the right people. Or maybe, Emily suggested with the wisdom of children who grow up in very loving environments, maybe the universe is always conspiring in our favor, and we just need to be willing to see the opportunities. Jennifer hugged her daughter, realizing that Emily had become an even wiser and more compassionate person than herself. You're right, sweetheart. And do you know what that means? What? That our story doesn't end here. It continues with every person we help, every family that transforms, every child who grows up believing the world can be a better place. Michael smiled. And it continues with every bakery that decides to be more than a bakery, every business owner who decides to use success to serve others, every person who learns that vulnerability can be strength. And it continues with every cake shared with love, added Emily, making everyone laugh. That night, walking home hand in hand with Emily, Jennifer looked back one last time at the Golden Star Bakery. The lights were still on, illuminating the sign that now read, Golden Star Bakery, Community Center, where everyone is family. She remembered that first night when she had left there humiliated, carrying a stale cake. Now she left there empowered, carrying dreams for dozens of other families. Life had taught her that sometimes we have to go through the deepest valleys to reach the highest peaks. That sometimes we need to break completely to rebuild ourselves even stronger, and that sometimes blessings come disguised as curses, waiting for us to have enough courage to uncover them. Emily was right from the start. After the rain, the rainbow always comes, and their rainbow would continue to light the way for many other families for years to come. As they walked down the familiar street, Jennifer whispered a prayer of gratitude, not just for the cake that changed their lives, but for learning that asking for help can be the first step toward becoming able to help others. And somewhere in the city, that same night, another mother looked at her child with worried eyes, wondering how she could give him the best without resources. She didn't know it yet, but soon she would discover that there are places where being vulnerable is being welcome, where asking for help shows courage, and where stories of struggle turn into stories of victory. The legacy of the expired cake kept multiplying, proving that small acts of kindness have the power to change not just one life, but an entire community. End of story. Now, dear listener, we have reached the end of this moving journey. How amazing to discover how a moment of humiliation can become the start of a story of overcoming and love. Jennifer's courage and Michael's generosity show us that there is always hope, even in the toughest times. And you? What did you think of the transformation we witnessed? Do you believe small gestures can truly change entire lives? Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us if you've ever experienced a situation where someone's kindness made all the difference. Don't forget to leave your like to support our channel and subscribe so you don't miss other touching stories like this one. Thank you for your company, and see you next time.